Captain Marcus Chin stood on the rocky hill and looked down at the valley below. His breath made small clouds in the cold air of planet Kepler 442b. The red sun hung low in the purple sky, casting long shadows across the broken ground. Behind him, 10,000 human soldiers waited for his orders. The war against the Devourers had been going on for 3 years now. These alien creatures were like giant bugs that ate everything in their path. They destroyed planets and turned living beings into more of themselves. The whole galaxy was fighting them, and humanity had joined the fight 2 years ago. Marcus wiped sweat from his face despite the cold. Something felt wrong about this mission. His gut told him to turn around and leave, but he had his orders. The Coalition Command wanted his forces to attack the Devourer hive in the valley. They said it would end the war on this planet. "Sir, the men are ready," said Sergeant Rodriguez, his second in command. The older man had fought beside Marcus in 12 battles. His dark eyes showed the same worry that Marcus felt. "I know, Rodriguez, I know." Marcus looked at his tablet. Again, the battle plan seemed simple, too simple. His forces would attack the hive from the north while coalition forces hit it from the south and east. Air support would come from above. It should work, but Marcus had learned not to trust things that seemed too easy. Commander Vexstar walked up the hill toward them. The tall alien moved on 4 legs like a horse, but his upper body was like a man with blue skin and 4 arms. His people, the Zilithians, were smart and good at planning battles. They had been fighting the Devourers longer than anyone. "Captain Chun," Vexstar said in his strange voice that sounded like music, "are your forces ready to begin the attack?" "They're ready," Marcus said, "but I want to go over the plan one more time. My scouts say they see more Devourer activity than your reports showed." Vexstar's large black eyes looked at Marcus for a long moment. "Your species worries too much, Captain. We have planned this attack for weeks. Our intelligence is perfect. The Devourers are weak here. This will be an easy victory." Marcus did not feel better. In 2 years of fighting, he had never seen the Devourers be weak anywhere. They were smart, fast, and deadly. They learned from every battle and got better at killing. Easy victories did not exist in this war. "Sir," said Private Johnson, running up the hill. "Long-range sensors show movement in the eastern hills. Looks like Devourer forces moving into position." Vexstar looked annoyed. "Impossible. Our satellites show nothing in that area." Marcus studied his own scanner. Johnson was right. There were definitely alien life signs where there should not be any. "Commander, I think we should wait. Let me send scouts to check those positions." "Captain Chun," Vexstar said, his voice getting harder, "you have your orders. The attack begins in 10 minutes. Every moment we wait gives the Devourers time to prepare." Marcus looked down at the valley again. The Devourer hive was a black mountain of twisted metal and living tissue. It pulsed like a heart, and strange lights moved inside it. Thousands of the bug-like creatures crawled around it like ants. But something was different. They were not moving randomly. They looked like they were getting ready for something. "Rodriguez? What do you think?" Marcus asked quietly. The sergeant looked through his binoculars. "Feels like a trap, sir. But we've walked into traps before and come out alive." That was true. Humans had surprised everyone in this war, the aliens thought. Humans would be weak because they were new to space travel. But humans were good at adapting and fighting in ways no one expected. They never gave up even when things looked impossible. Marcus made his choice. "All right, we go in. But keep the reserve companies back. If this goes bad, I want someone left to tell the story." He activated his radio to speak to all his forces. "Listen up, everyone. We're about to hit the biggest Devourer nest on this planet. Stay close to your squads. Watch each other's backs. And remember, we've beaten these bugs before. We'll beat them again." The human forces moved down into the valley like a green wave. They had good weapons and strong armor, but Marcus knew their real strength was something else. Humans never stopped fighting. Even when they were hurt, scared, or outnumbered, they kept going. The first part of the attack went well. Marcus's forces reached the outer edge of the hive without much resistance. The Devourers seemed to be sleeping or hiding. But Marcus felt more worried, not less. This was too easy. "Sir, I'm not seeing the coalition forces," Rodriguez said. "They should be hitting the south side by now." Marcus checked his radio. "Coalition Command, this is Chun. Where are your forces?" "We're in position and need support," Static answered him. Then Vextar's voice came through, but it sounded different, colder. "Captain Chun, there has been a change of plans. Continue your attack. Support will come when it is needed." "What kind of change?" Marcus asked, but the radio went dead. That was when everything went wrong. The ground under the human forces exploded upward. Devourers poured out of hidden tunnels like black water. They came from all sides, cutting off escape routes. The air filled with their terrible screaming and the sound of human weapons firing. "Ambush! Ambush!" Rodriguez shouted into his radio. "All units defensive positions." But worse was coming. Marcus heard the whistle of artillery shells falling from the sky. He looked up and saw coalition ships firing down at them. Not at the Devourers, at the humans. "What the hell?" Johnson screamed as explosions ripped through the human lines. "They're shooting at us." Marcus felt his world break apart as he understood what was happening. The coalition had not made a mistake. This was planned. They had led his people into a trap and were helping the Devourers kill them. "All units scatter and find cover." He shouted into his radio. "The coalition has betrayed us." "Repeat, the coalition has betrayed us?" The battle became a nightmare. Devourers attacked from the ground while coalition bombs fell from above. Humans died by the hundreds, then thousands. They fought back with everything they had, but they were surrounded and outnumbered. Marcus saw his soldiers fall around him. Good men and women who had trusted him to lead them home. They died believing they were fighting for the galaxy, not knowing they had been thrown away like garbage. "Sir, we have to go." Rodriguez grabbed Marcus's arm. Blood ran down the sergeant's face from a head wound. "There's nothing more we can do here." Marcus wanted to stay and die with his people, but Rodriguez was right. Someone had to survive to tell what really happened here. Someone had to make sure the betrayal was not forgotten. As they ran for the hills, Marcus looked back at the valley. Thousands of human bodies lay scattered on the red ground. The Devourers and coalition forces were working together to finish off the survivors. Humanity had been betrayed by those they trusted most. But Marcus Chun was still alive, and he would remember this day. He would make sure everyone remembered it. The war was not over. It was just beginning. 6 months had passed since the massacre in the valley. Marcus Chun sat in the darkness of an ancient underground tunnel, listening to the sound of rain falling on the planet's surface far above. The old stone walls were covered with strange writings from some long-dead alien race. These ruins had become home for the survivors, 847. Humans were left alive from the 10,000 who had walked into that trap. They lived like ghosts now, hiding in the deep places of the planet where neither Devourers nor coalition forces could easily find them. Marcus had changed in these months. His black hair was now streaked with gray, and deep lines marked his face. The betrayal had aged him in ways that years of normal war never could, but his eyes still burned with purpose. He was no longer just a soldier following orders. He was something more dangerous. "Sir, we got something," said tech specialist Lisa Park. She was young, maybe 25, with short red hair and quick hands. Before the betrayal, she had been just another communications officer. Now she was their best hope of understanding what had really happened to them. Marcus walked over to where Park sat surrounded by salvaged coalition equipment. Over the months, the survivors had learned to steal and use alien technology. They had become very good at taking what they needed. "What did you find?" Marcus asked. Park pointed at a screen showing coalition communications. "I broke into their secure channels 3 days ago. I've been listening to everything they say, sir. What they did to us, it was not an accident." Marcus felt his stomach tighten. He had suspected this, but hearing it confirmed made it real. "Show me." Park played a recording. Voices spoke in the musical language of the Zilithians, but she had learned to translate it. "This is from 6 months ago, the day before our attack." The alien voices were cold and businesslike. The human forces are in position. Begin phase 2 of the elimination protocol. Another voice answered, confirmed. All coalition artillery units have been given the coordinates. The Devourers are ready to receive the humans. Good. After this operation, the human problem will be solved. They have become too dangerous to keep alive. Marcus felt sick. They had not just been betrayed in battle. This had been planned for months, maybe years. There's more, Park said. Her voice shook a little. I found records going back to when humans first joined the coalition. They never wanted us as allies. They wanted us as weapons they could throw away. She showed him more files on the screen. Reports about human fighting ability. Plans for using human forces in the most dangerous missions. And finally, the decision to eliminate all humans once the war was won. They were afraid of us, Park continued. The reports say humans are too unpredictable, too good at adapting, too dangerous to have around after the war ends. Marcus read the alien words on the screen. They described humans like they were talking about dangerous animals, useful for now, but needing to be put down before they became a real threat. Sir, said Rodriguez, walking into the chamber. The sergeant looked older too, but his eyes were still sharp. The scouts are back. They found something you need to see. Marcus followed Rodriguez through the winding tunnels to another chamber. Waiting there were 3 of their best scouts, and with them was someone Marcus had not expected to see. It was an alien, but not one he recognized. This creature was small and gray, with large eyes and thin arms. It looked weak and afraid. This is Krill, said Scout Commander Williams. He's a Milixian. We found him hiding in the ruins about 10 miles from here. The alien called Krill looked up at Marcus with frightened eyes. When he spoke, his voice was small and squeaky. Please do not kill me. I mean you no harm. Why would we kill you? Marcus asked. Krill looked confused. Because ... because we are enemies. The coalition says. Humans are violent and cannot be trusted. Marcus knelt down to be at eye level with the small alien. The coalition says a lot of things. Why are you hiding out here instead of fighting with them? Krill was quiet for a long moment. Then tears started running down his gray face. Because they betrayed us too. Marcus felt something cold settle in his chest. What do you mean? My people, the Malaxians, we were sent to attack a Devourer stronghold 8 months ago. The coalition said they would support us, but when we attacked, no help came. The Devourers were waiting for us. Almost all of my people died. Krill pulled out a small device and showed Marcus the screen. I saved some records before I ran. Look. The screen showed coalition communications, just like the ones Park had found. But these were about the Malaxians. The aliens had planned to sacrifice Krill's people just like they had planned to sacrifice the humans. How many others? Marcus asked quietly. I do not know for sure, Krill said, but I think we are not the first. The coalition has done this before. Marcus stood up and looked around at his people. They had all heard what Krill said. The betrayal was bigger than just humanity. The coalition had been using and destroying species for years. Park, Marcus said. I want you to work with Krill. Find out everything you can about other species that have been betrayed. Rodriguez, double the guard shifts. If the coalition is cleaning up loose ends, they might come for us next. What are you thinking, sir? Rodriguez asked. Marcus was quiet for a moment, his mind working through possibilities. I'm thinking we need to get off this planet. We need to warn Earth about what's really happening out here. Sir, how are we going to do that? Williams asked. We don't have a ship. The coalition controls all the spacecraft. Marcus smiled, but it was not a happy smile. It was the smile of a man who had learned to think like his enemies. Then we'll take one. Over the next few weeks, the survivors worked with Krill to plan their escape. The little alien knew a lot about coalition operations. Because his people had been logistics specialists before they were betrayed. There is a supply depot 50 miles north of here, Krill explained. Small ships come and go every few days. If we could take one ... It won't be easy, Rodriguez said. That depot is heavily guarded. Everything worth doing is hard, Marcus replied, but we have advantages they don't expect. What advantages? Park asked. Marcus looked around at his people. They were dirty, tired, and angry. But they were also something else. They were humans who had been betrayed and left for dead. That made them the most dangerous thing in the galaxy. They think we're dead, Marcus said. They think humans fight. Like other species, following predictable patterns. They're wrong on both counts. Marcus gathered all the survivors together that night. They sat in the largest chamber of the ruins, their faces lit by the glow of salvaged equipment. We have a choice, Marcus told them. We can stay here and hide until we die. Or we can fight back. Not just for ourselves, but for every species the Coalition has betrayed. What's the plan, sir? Asked Private Johnson. We steal a ship. We get back to Earth, we tell everyone what really happened here, and then... Marcus paused, his voice getting harder. Then we make sure this never happens again. And if we die trying? Rodriguez asked. Marcus looked at each face in the chamber. These were his people. They had been through hell together. They deserved the truth. If we die, we die fighting for something that matters. We die making sure the galaxy knows what the Coalition really is. The survivors voted that night. It was unanimous. They would attempt the escape, knowing it might be suicide. But they had learned something important in these months of hiding and struggling. Living on your knees was not living at all. They would rather die standing up, fighting for the truth, than survive as the Coalition's dirty secret. The war was about to change. The Coalition had created something they never intended. They had created humans with nothing left to lose and everything to fight for. That was their first and last mistake. The stolen Coalition stealth ship dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of Earth's solar system. Marcus Chen sat in the pilot's seat, his hands shaking as he looked at the blue planet through the view screen. Home. After 8 months of hell, he was finally home, but the joy lasted only seconds. Alarms started screaming throughout the ship. 3 Coalition warships were already moving to intercept them. Somehow, the aliens had beaten them here. Sir, we're being hailed, said Park from the communications station. Her face was pale but determined. Put it through, Marcus said. The view screen filled with the image of Admiral Vexlon, a tall insect-like creature with golden skin and 4 arms. Marcus had met him before, back when he thought the Coalition were the good guys. Captain Chun, the alien admiral said in perfect English. You are under arrest for desertion, theft of Coalition property, and treason against the Galactic War. Effort, surrender immediately, Marcus almost laughed. After everything they had done, the Coalition still thought they could lie their way out of this. Admiral, I have evidence that the Coalition has been systematically murdering allied species. I'm bringing that evidence to Earth. You have been infected by Devourer influence, Vexlon replied coldly. Your judgment cannot be trusted. Surrender now, and you will receive medical treatment. Go to hell, Marcus said and cut the transmission. Sir, they're powering weapons, Rodriguez warned from the sensor station. Marcus looked at the 3 warships, moving toward them. Each one was 10 times larger than their stolen ship. In a straight fight, they would be dead in minutes. But Marcus had not survived this long by fighting fair. Park, send everything we recorded to Earth on all frequencies. Emergency broadcast. Make sure everyone hears it. Transmitting now, sir. Rodriguez, take us into Earth's atmosphere. Fast and low, make them work for this. The small ship dove toward Earth like a falling star. The Coalition ships followed, but they were big and slow. The planet's atmosphere and gravity made it hard for them to maneuver. Marcus pushed their ship to its limits, skimming over oceans and mountains. Behind them, Coalition energy beams lit up the sky. News networks around the world were already picking up the story. Alien ships were fighting in Earth's skies. Sir, incoming transmission from Earth Defense Command, Park said. Put it through. The face of General Sarah Martinez appeared on the screen. Marcus had known her before the war. She was tough, smart, and completely loyal to Earth. "Marcus, what the hell is going on up there?" she demanded. "Sarah, the Coalition betrayed us. They led 10,000 humans into a trap and watched them die." "I have proof." General Martinez's face went hard. "Are you sure about this? Dead sure? We've been living in hell for 8 months because of what they did? The evidence is in the transmission we just sent." "I'm reading it now," Martinez said, looking at something off-screen. "Sweet Jesus, this is a war crime." "It's worse than that," Marcus replied. "They've done this to other species too? The Coalition has been using everyone as disposable tools. One of the pursuing Coalition ships fired a missile that exploded just behind them. The shock wave threw everyone around the small bridge." "Sir, we can't keep this up much longer," Rodriguez said. "The ship is taking too much damage." Marcus made a quick decision. "Sarah, I'm coming down. Have your people ready to receive us?" And Sarah ... "Prepare for war. The Coalition isn't going to let this go." Marcus brought the ship down hard in a field outside Washington, D.C. Coalition ships circled overhead like angry birds. But they did not fire. Too many people were watching now. The whole world had seen the chase and heard the transmissions. Within hours, Marcus found himself in a secure room deep under the Pentagon. General Martinez sat across from him along with Defense Secretary Williams and President Chun. The irony of sharing a name with the president was not lost on Marcus. "Tell us everything," President Chun said. Marcus did. He told them about the trap, the betrayal, the months of hiding and fighting. He told them about Krill and the other betrayed species. He told them about the Coalition's plan to eliminate humanity after the war. When he finished, the room was silent for a long moment. "The evidence is clear," Secretary Williams said finally. "The Coalition has committed genocide against multiple species, including attempted genocide against us. What's our response?" President Chun asked. General Martinez leaned forward. "Sir, we need to recall all human forces immediately. Every ship, every soldier, every support unit. Bring them all home." "Agreed," the president said. "And then?" "And then we tell the galaxy the truth," Marcus said. "We share everything we know with every species still fighting for the Coalition. We show them what their allies really are." President Chun nodded slowly. "Do it, all of it." And Marcus ... "Yes, sir. I'm sorry for what happened to your people. They deserved better." Marcus felt tears in his eyes for the first time since the betrayal. "Thank you, sir, they did." The next few days changed everything. Earth recalled its forces from across the galaxy. The evidence of Coalition war crimes was broadcast on every frequency, translated into hundreds of languages. The reaction was immediate and explosive. The Torvan were the first to break away from the Coalition. Their leaders had always suspected something was wrong when 3 of their colony fleets disappeared without explanation. Now they knew those fleets had been sabotaged by Coalition forces. The Cathani followed quickly. They discovered that their famous last stand at the Battle of Zarian had actually been a planned massacre. Coalition forces had fed information to the Devourers, ensuring the Cathani would be surrounded and destroyed. More species followed. The Rillians, the Vorthek, the Yendari. All of them found evidence that they had been betrayed and used by the Coalition, but the Coalition was not finished. 3 days after Marcus's return to Earth, Coalition fleets appeared in dozens of human systems. Their message was the same everywhere. Humanity had been infected by Devourer influence and needed to be cleansed for the good of the galaxy. It was the Coalition's final lie, and their biggest mistake. President Chun addressed the world from the White House. "The Coalition claims we are infected and dangerous. They're right about one thing: we are dangerous. We're dangerous to liars, murderers, and traitors. They want to destroy us because we told the truth. They want to silence us because we exposed their crimes. But humanity has faced extinction before, and we're still here. We will not go quietly. We will not disappear. We will fight for our right to exist, and we will fight for every species the Coalition has betrayed." Marcus watched the speech from his new office at Earth Defense Command. He had been promoted to admiral and put in charge of planning humanity's defense. It was a job he never wanted, but the war had made him into the man Earth needed. His aide, Lieutenant Park, walked in with a report. "Sir, coalition fleets are massing in the Centauri system. Intelligence estimates over 300 ships," Marcus nodded. "How many species have joined us so far?" 47 confirmed, sir. More are declaring independence from the coalition. Every day. Marcus looked out the window at the construction yards in orbit. Human ships were being built as fast as possible, but it would not be enough. The coalition still had thousands of ships and dozens of species under their control, but Marcus had learned something important in the months since the betrayal. It was not the size of your army that mattered. It was the reason you were fighting. The coalition fought to maintain their power and control. The humans and their new allies fought for something much stronger. They fought for the right to exist. They fought for justice. They fought for the memory of all those who had been betrayed and murdered. Most importantly, they fought together. Not as tools to be used and thrown away, but as equals united by shared suffering and common purpose. The galaxy was about to learn that there was nothing more dangerous than good people who had been pushed too far. The real war was just beginning. The coalition's first attack came at dawn on a Tuesday. Marcus Chen was drinking coffee in his office when the alarm started screaming across Earth Defense Command. Through his window he could see explosions blooming like deadly flowers in the orbital shipyards. "Sir, coalition fleet dropping out of hyperspace," Lieutenant Park shouted as she ran into his office. 200 ships, all classes. "They're hitting our construction facilities." Marcus was already moving toward the command. "Center, get me fleet status, all ships, all systems, and patch me through to President Chen." The command center was chaos. Officers shouted orders while screens showed the destruction happening above. Earth, coalition ships were targeting the shipyards where humanity's new fleet was being built. They wanted to crush human resistance before it could grow strong. "Mr. President," Marcus said when the secure line connected, "they're hitting us hard. We need to evacuate the orbital stations." "Do it," President Chun replied. "How bad is it?" Marcus watched another shipyard explode on the main screen. "Bad, but not unexpected. We knew this was coming. Are we ready?" Marcus allowed himself a small smile. The coalition thought they were attacking a weak, desperate humanity. They were wrong. Earth had been preparing for this moment since Marcus's return 3 months ago. "Yes, sir, we're ready." Marcus activated the fleet-wide communication system. "All ships, this is Admiral Chun. Execute Operation Payback. Repeat, execute Operation Payback." Across the solar system, human ships that had been hiding behind moons and asteroids suddenly came to life. They were not the big, impressive warships the coalition expected. These were smaller, faster vessels built with one purpose in mind: to hit hard and disappear. "Sir, the Wolfpack squadrons are engaging," reported Commander Torres from the tactical station. "They're using the asteroid belt for cover, just like we planned," Marcus nodded. The coalition expected humans to fight like other species, lining up their fleets for big battles. Instead, Earth's ships struck from unexpected angles using hit and run, tactics that confused and frustrated the enemy. "Admiral," said the communications officer, "we're getting reports from other systems. The Torvan fleet just engaged coalition forces at Rigel. The Cathani are hitting supply lines in the outer rim." This was the beauty of the new alliance. While the coalition attacked Earth, the betrayed species were striking back across the galaxy. They had learned from humanity's example. They no longer fought as separate armies following coalition orders. They fought as partners, each using their own strengths. The battle for Earth lasted 6 hours. When it was over, the coalition had destroyed 4 shipyards and killed 3,000 people. But they had lost 30 ships and learned a terrible lesson. Humans did not fight the way they expected. "Damage report," Marcus said as the last coalition ship retreated. 4 orbital facilities destroyed, 6 damaged, Torres replied. "But sir, the important construction sites are untouched." The coalition hit the decoy yards. Marcus felt satisfaction flow through him. They had sacrificed the outer shipyards to protect the real construction happening deeper in the system. The coalition had won a battle, but they had hit the wrong targets. What about our allies? Marcus asked. Reports coming in now, sir. The Torvin destroyed a coalition supply depot. The Cathani took out 2 escort squadrons. The Malaxians sabotaged 3 communication relays. Marcus studied the tactical display showing the entire galaxy. Red dots marked coalition forces, blue dots showed allied positions. 6 months ago, the galaxy had been almost entirely red. Now, blue dots were spreading everywhere. Sir, priority message from the Torvin High Command, the communications officer announced, the main screen filled with the image of war leader Korath, a massive bear-like creature with silver fur and intelligent eyes. The Torvin were known for their defensive tactics and their absolute refusal to surrender. Admiral Chun, Korath said in his deep voice, my ships have taken the Rigel system. We found something you need to see. What kind of something? Marcus asked Coalition Files. Plans for something called the Final Solution Protocol. Marcus felt his blood turn cold. Send everything you have, secure channels only. Within an hour, Marcus was staring at documents that made his stomach sick. The Coalition had not just planned to betray individual species. They had planned to eliminate over half the galaxy's population once the war with the Devourers ended. The files showed detailed plans for systematic genocide. Species would be eliminated in a specific order, starting with the most dangerous ones. Humans were first on the list, followed by the Torvin, then the Cathani. Even species still loyal to the Coalition were marked for eventual elimination. They were going to kill everyone, Lieutenant Park said, reading over his shoulder. Everyone who wasn't part of their inner circle. Not everyone, Marcus corrected grimly. They were going to keep some species as workers and soldiers. Slaves. Basically. Marcus called an emergency meeting of the Alliance Council. Representatives from 47 species appeared on screens around the conference room. Some were still fighting battles against coalition forces while they talked. You've all seen the Rigel files by now, Marcus began. We know what we're really fighting against. This isn't just about revenge for past betrayals. This is about the survival of most life in the galaxy. War leader Korath spoke first. My people have fought defensive wars for centuries. We know how to hold ground and make enemies pay for every meter. But this this requires more than defense. Agreed, said Strike Commander Veltar of the Cathani. Her people were the best raiders in the galaxy, masters of quick attacks and faster retreats. We need to take the fight to them. Hit their core systems. That's what I'm thinking, Marcus said. But it won't be easy. Coalition Central Command is in the Galactic Core, surrounded by their strongest fleets. What do you have in mind? Asked Trade Minister Krill. The little Milixian had become the Alliance's logistics coordinator, using his people's skills to keep supplies flowing between allied species. Marcus activated a holographic display showing the galaxy. We've been fighting defensively, reacting to their attacks. It's time to go on the offensive. I want to hit Coalition Central Command directly. The room went quiet. Several of the alien representatives looked shocked. Admiral, said Science Director Yolan of the Rillians, Central Command has over 1,000 ships protecting it. We have maybe 300 vessels total across all our species. Numbers don't tell the whole story, Marcus replied. We've learned something important in these months of fighting. The Coalition expects us to fight like they do. Big fleets, direct attacks, predictable tactics, but we're not them. Marcus pointed to different areas on the galactic map. The Torvin hold defensive positions and tie up coalition forces. The Cathani hit supply lines and communication relays. The Malaxians coordinate logistics and intelligence. And humans do what humans do best, which is? Asked War Leader Korath. We adapt, we improvise, we find ways to do the impossible. Marcus looked around the room at the faces of his allies. The Coalition made a mistake when they betrayed us. They taught us that the galaxy isn't fair, that power protects itself, and that the only way to survive is to stand together. But more importantly, Marcus continued, they made us angry. Really, truly angry. And there's nothing more dangerous than good people who have been pushed too far. When do we attack? Strike Commander Veltar asked. 2 weeks, Marcus said. That gives us time to position our forces and coordinate the assault. But remember, this isn't just about winning a battle. This is about ending the war. We need to capture coalition leadership alive and make sure the entire galaxy sees the evidence of their crimes. And if we fail? War leader Korath asked quietly. Marcus was quiet for a moment, thinking about all the people who had died because of coalition betrayals. His soldiers in that valley. The Torvan colony fleets, the Cathani warriors at Zarian. Billions of innocent lives destroyed by alien leaders who saw other species as tools to be used and discarded. If we fail, Marcus said finally, at least we'll fail fighting for something worth dying for. Freedom, justice, the right of every species to exist without fear of betrayal. But we're not going to fail, he added, his voice growing stronger. Because we have something the coalition doesn't understand. We're not fighting for power or control. We're fighting for each other, and that makes us stronger than they can imagine. The attack on Coalition Central Command would be the largest military operation in galactic history. It would determine whether the galaxy would be ruled by fear and betrayal, or whether justice and freedom could win. Marcus looked out at the stars, knowing that somewhere out there, coalition leaders were planning their next betrayal, they thought. They were safe in their fortress among the stars. They were about to learn how wrong they were. Coalition Central Command was a massive space station floating in the dangerous heart of the galaxy. It was bigger than most cities, with enough firepower to destroy entire fleets. Black metal spires twisted into space like the arms of some giant monster. For 50 years, no enemy had dared to attack it. Admiral Marcus Chun looked at the station through the viewscreen of his flagship and felt his heart pound. Around him, 300 ships from a dozen different species waited for his order. It was the largest fleet the Alliance had ever assembled, but it still seemed small compared to the fortress ahead. Sir, long-range sensors show over 800 coalition ships defending the station, reported Lieutenant Park. She had stayed with Marcus through everything, from the first betrayal to this final battle. Any word from our infiltration teams? Marcus asked. Strike Commander Veltar reports her Cathani raiders are in position inside the station. Communications Officer Torres replied. War leader Korath's Torvan forces have taken the outer defense platforms, but sir, they're taking heavy casualties. Marcus nodded grimly. This attack had cost them dearly already. But it was necessary. The coalition leaders hiding inside that station had to face justice for their crimes. Admiral, came a new voice over the communications system. It was Trade Minister Krill, speaking from his position aboard a Milixian support ship. The supply lines are secure. All ships have full ammunition and fuel. Good, Marcus said. Then it's time to finish this. He activated the fleet-wide communication channel. All ships, all species, this is Admiral Chun. Today we end the war that should never have been. Today we show the galaxy that betrayal has consequences. The coalition thought they could use us and throw us away. They were wrong. They thought they could eliminate anyone who threatened their power. They were wrong. They thought fear was stronger than justice. They were very wrong. Today we fight not just for ourselves, but for every species the coalition betrayed, for every life they destroyed, for every lie they told. Fight well, fight hard, and remember why we're here. The Alliance fleet moved forward like a wave of righteous anger. Human ships darted between larger Torvan cruisers, while Cathani raiders struck at coalition flanks. Milixian support vessels kept everyone supplied and coordinated. The battle was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. The coalition fought with the discipline of a professional military, but the Alliance fought with the fury of the betrayed and the righteousness of the innocent. Marcus's flagship, the Vengeance, led the human contingent straight toward the stations. Main docking bay. Energy beams and missiles filled the space around them, but the human ships kept coming. They had learned to fight through impossible odds. Sir, we're taking heavy fire, Rodriguez warned from the weapons station. The old sergeant had refused to stay behind, insisting his place was beside Marcus in the final battle. Keep us moving, Marcus ordered. We need to get boarding parties onto that station. Explosions lit up the Vengeance's hull, but the ship held together. Human engineering had improved greatly since joining the galactic community. Their ships were tough, adaptable, and very hard to kill. Docking bay secured, came Strike Commander Veltar's voice over the radio. Cathani forces are inside the station. Beginning search for coalition leadership. Torvan forces have disabled the main defensive grid, reported War Leader Korath. But they're throwing everything they have at us. We cannot hold these positions much longer. Marcus made his decision. All human ships, prepare for emergency docking, we're going in. The Vengeance and 50 other human vessels crashed through the station's outer defenses and into the massive docking bays. It was a desperate move that should have been suicide. But humans had made a career of surviving impossible situations. Marcus led the boarding parties personally, running through corridors filled with smoke and laser fire. Coalition soldiers fought desperately, but they were defending leaders who had betrayed everyone, including their own people. The battle raged through the station for hours. Humans, Torvan, Cathani, and Malaxians fought side by side, each species, using their unique strengths. The Coalition had superior numbers and better equipment, but the Alliance had something more powerful. They believed in what they were fighting for. Finally, Marcus and his team reached the command center. The massive chamber was filled with holographic displays showing the battle raging throughout the galaxy. At the center stood 5 figures Marcus recognized. The Coalition High Council. The aliens who had ordered the betrayal of so many species. Admiral Vexlon, the insect-like commander who had tried to arrest Marcus months ago, raised his arms in surrender. Admiral Chun, we yield. The battle is over. No, Marcus said quietly. The battle is over when justice is served. Marcus activated his communications equipment, broadcasting to every ship in the system and beyond. This is Admiral Marcus Chun of the Alliance Fleet. We have captured Coalition Central Command and arrested the High Council. For too long, these beings have ruled through fear and betrayal. They have eliminated entire species to maintain their power. They have lied to the galaxy about their true intentions. Today that ends. Marcus gestured to Lieutenant Park, who began transmitting files from the Coalition's own computers. We are now broadcasting the complete records of Coalition war crimes. Every betrayal, every planned genocide, every lie they told. Let the galaxy see the truth. The transmission went out across the galaxy. On thousands of worlds, beings watched in horror as the evidence unfolded. The Coalition had planned to eliminate most life in the galaxy, keeping only a few species as slaves and workers, but more importantly, the galaxy saw something else. They saw that the betrayed species had not just survived, but had come together to fight for justice. They had proven that cooperation was stronger than oppression, that truth was more powerful than lies. The reaction was immediate. Across the galaxy, Coalition forces began surrendering. Species that had remained loyal to the Coalition declared independence. The great lie that had held the galaxy together for 50 years collapsed in a single day. 3 days after the battle, Marcus stood on the observation deck of the Vengeance, looking out at the captured Coalition station. The war was over, but the work of building something better was just beginning. Sir, Lieutenant Park said, joining him at the viewport, the preliminary trials have begun. The High Council is being charged with genocide, conspiracy, and crimes against sapient life. Good, Marcus said. What about the Coalition forces? That surrendered? Most of them are being allowed to return home. The Alliance Council decided that following orders isn't the same as giving them, Marcus nodded. The Alliance had learned from the Coalition's mistakes. They would not rule through fear or revenge, but through justice and cooperation. Admiral, Park continued, there's something else. Earth has received over 200 requests from different species asking to join the new alliance. Marcus smiled. It was not the bitter smile of a man seeking revenge, but the genuine smile of someone who had seen justice prevail. The galaxy is learning that working together is better than standing alone. What happens now? Park asked. Marcus looked out at the stars, thinking about the long road ahead. The Devourers were still out there, though weakened by years of war. Dozens of species needed help rebuilding after coalition betrayals. The galaxy needed new laws, new treaties, new ways of working together. Now we do the hard work, Marcus said. Fighting a war is simple compared to building a peace. But we've proven something important. We've shown that when good people stand together, they can overcome anything. Even if those good people come from different worlds, speak different languages, and look nothing like each other? Park asked with a small smile. Especially then, Marcus replied. The coalition failed because they thought being different made us weak. They never understood that our differences make us stronger. Marcus thought about the valley where this all began, where 10,000 humans had walked into a trap and died. Their sacrifice had not been in vain. It had exposed the truth and brought the galaxy together in a way nothing else could have. The betrayal had been meant to destroy humanity and other inconvenient species. Instead, it had forged them into something the galaxy had never seen before. A true alliance based on mutual respect and shared sacrifice. War leader Korath's voice came over the communication system. Admiral Chun, the new Alliance Council is ready to convene. They're asking for you to speak first. Marcus straightened his uniform and headed for the conference room. He had been a simple ship captain when this war began. The betrayal had made him into something more, a symbol of what was possible when good people refused to surrender. As he walked through the corridors of the captured station, Marcus passed beings from dozens of different species working together to repair damage and plan for the future. Humans worked alongside Torvan engineers. Cathani shared tactics with Milixian strategists. Former enemies had become partners. The galaxy would remember this war not for the battles fought or the lives lost, but for the lesson it taught. Betrayal might win in the short term, but truth and justice would always triumph in the end. And if anyone ever forgot that lesson, they would have to answer to the Alliance. An alliance forged in betrayal, strengthened by shared sacrifice, and dedicated to ensuring that no species would ever again face extinction alone. The war was over. The real work of peace was just beginning.